Hi, this is Alvin Garcia and welcome to Simple Steps. One of my favorite seasons of the year is fall. Why? Because that's when the harvest season begins. And you could be driving on a country road or going to the grocery store and all you see are these beautiful colors that fall has to bring. From pumpkin patches, picking up your pumpkin, to different apples that you can find in the grocery store, to the wonderful nuts that you can find. They're all wonderful. What I really like about the fall is that everything on this table is just great to eat. I mean, it is loaded with different vitamins and minerals and they're good for your body. The funny thing is that as the holidays begin and as the fall festivals begin, we start loading a lot of sugar into all the things that are so wonderfully natural and beneficial for us. So what I want to show you today are just a few simple things and the benefits that you can have by eating simple recipes for your body, for your health, entertain the people that you love, and still feel good about yourself. Join me as we explore some fall desserts. So before I get started on making these beautiful recipes that are sweet and bring the fall into the house, I want to start by making the house smell like fall. And this is a wonderful idea that my grandmother started years ago. And she'd always keep a simmering pot of different flavors, different fall smells. And the funny thing is that you can buy a packet at a grocery store and put it in a simmering pot and bring fall in. But what I thought was really nice about her and what I thought was really cool is that she made it herself. And I've taken this wonderful idea and bring it into my house. So I just want to share it with you really quickly. What she pretty much did is take an orange and cut the rind out. And I used to love the fall because this is how she would start her mornings. And I thought, oh, what a waste. And the funny thing is, again, I always say, as you get older, you get wiser. You start thinking about your family and your loved ones, and you bring them back to your home in really interesting ways. So she would take the rind of an orange, put it in a small little pot like this. She'd add that in there. And I'd go, okay, this is what she's doing this morning. And my grandmother was big on cloves. She used to love cloves, the smell of cloves. And she'd add that as well. She'd add a little bit of nutmeg. And I wish you can be here because it smells already really great. And some cinnamon. She'd give that a stir. And this was her natural house spray. So for those of us that use either some fresheners in the house or have little plug-ins in the sockets, this is a way to bring a very natural fall smell into your house. Put it over low heat on your stove. And I guarantee you that in about 30, 40 minutes, the house is going to smell like all the wonderful smells of fall. So welcome back. One of the things that I love about the fall, one of my favorite desserts that I really enjoy, is like an apple crumb. And for those of us that eat apple crumb, you know it's loaded with a lot of butter, a lot of sugar, some oats, and I mean, it could be very decadent. And as much as I love that dessert, I know it's not really healthy for me. So I've modified and created my own apple crumb, looking at different websites, and I want to share that with you. So we're going to use for this recipe 4 green apples. One of the things that I love about green apples is they're tart, but when you add things to them and when you're baking with green apples, for some reason the tartness turns into a very sweet type of taste for me. They also hold their own. I mean, they're so very dense to me that when you're baking with them, whether you're baking a cake or an apple crisp like we'll do today, they keep their shape. They don't crumble like other apples. So for this recipe, it's really great when you use Granny Smith apples. Again, the nice thing about this recipe, it's simple. So if you don't like green apples, use a different kind of apple. What I also like about apples is that if you're watching your sugar, if you're watching what you're eating, apples are really great as far as how they process in your system. It takes a while for them to break down. So you're not getting this rush of insulin trying to combat a normal or regular apple crisp that's full of sugar and brown sugar and butter. So this recipe will allow you to enjoy an apple crisp without the sugar spikes. The other thing that I like about apples is that they're full of fiber. So again, that feeling of fullness won't require you to eat a lot, just enough to say, this is really good, and have some for later. Now I'm going to take my orange that I've used to do my simmering pot, put that aside. And what we're going to do is that we're going to chop 4 apples. If you have one of these at home, they're really great. They make the process go by faster. And I like it because it's easy to make this recipe. Oops. Now, if you don't have this kind of contraption at home, don't worry about it. Just cut them up. You want to cut them up into bite sizes. In other words, what's a bite size for you can be a different bite size for someone else. So I'm going to cut these up in bite sizes and put them in a baking dish. In this case, I'm going to use this one. Now, my oven is set at 350, and I'm going to keep on working on these and chopping them up, and then I'll show you the next step. Welcome back. So I am chopping my apples, my green apples, into bite-sized chunks. Some of them here are a little bit thicker than others just because I like the different types of sizes. But again, if you're one of those people that enjoy uniformity, cut them all the same size. What I also like about this recipe is that you can make it for yourself as well as others and still keep enjoying the fall holidays and the flavors. Here we go. So I have my 4 apples. To that, I have a mixture of cinnamon, nutmeg, and raisins, and I'm going to pour that over. If you're not a fan of raisins, use currants. If you're not a fan of currants, another kind of sweet dried fruit, then do something else. So again, I like raisins. It reminds me of my childhood. If you don't like raisins, add another dried fruit. So we're going to mix this around. Smells great. I love cinnamon. It's one of those spices that is earthy and warm and conjures up a lot of great memories. Now to this mixture, I'm going to add a tablespoon of coconut oil. If you're not a fan of coconut oil, then use regular oil. Again, I use coconut oil because it's healthier. It has it's healthier benefits for me. And so you can use whatever oil you'd like, canola oil or vegetable oil. But once in a while, as you're doing new things or trying new things, try some coconut oil. You might be surprised. You might like it. That's pretty. Now for the apple crumb. So what's an apple crisp without the crumb, right? So instead of using flour, I use almond flour. Again, I've done, and I talk a lot about it, I bake a lot with almond flour. It is much better than, what was that noise? Did you fart? It was a zipper. Oh really? Okay. Let's start again. I thought you farted. I'm like, what the hell? It's going to come out on the thing. So for the crumb, we're going to use almond flour instead of flour, and pecans. And pecans will give it a nice little crunch as well. Now again, I use almond flour for a lot of my baking just because it is healthier. It's a healthier alternative for me. And the white flour, the processed flour, is something that I try my best to exclude in anything that I do around the house. Almond flour is very versatile. I always tell people when they're experimenting with almond flour, I go, in the beginning it's a little awkward, but you start getting used to it. I had a friend of mine who I'm working with right now in her path to wellness, and she even said, you know what I like about almond flour? It's actually a little bit sweeter, which is it's a good thing. You're just going to mix this around. Look how pretty that is. I don't know. I could probably eat it with a fork now. So what's almond flour? It's really taking a bunch of almonds and crunching them up. To this mixture, I'm going to add some honey. I love honey. If you're not a fan of honey, maple syrup. If you're not a fan of maple syrup, how about some agave? Find the natural sweetener that works for you. I'm going to add a little bit more of coconut oil. And I'm going to keep on mixing. The honey will act as that little crunch that you always taste when you're having an apple crisp. It's like, and look at this. There is no oats in it. There's no butter, heavy butter in here, heavy creams, nothing. Just some pure goodness in there. Got the raisins. If you want to add some more cinnamon, you can. Again, when I show you a recipe for wellness, my goal is to show you something simple, and then it's up to you to take it up a notch whenever you're ready. So this baby is ready. I'm going to put it in my bowl. Look how pretty that is. Make sure we get everybody situated. This is the before and it looks great. Imagine what the after is going to look like when you smell it and taste. So I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes and let it start getting really tasty. Hi, welcome back. My next stop to fall flavors and smells is to create a pumpkin bar. Now, when you think of a pumpkin bar, you're thinking, dude, that's loaded with butter and sugar and cheese, cream cheese, and all this good stuff that's just decadent. Well, I'm going to make something that's healthy for you, and healthy as desserts can be, I don't know, but definitely something that you're going to enjoy, you're going to be able to share and partake, and not have these awful spikes of sugar going in your body, as well as taking care of yourself. So I'm going to make a pumpkin bar. First thing we're going to do, I've already gone ahead and greased my pan with some coconut oil. And again, you're saying coconut oil again? Yes, it is a healthy oil. Again, if you've never tried it, take a chance, buy a small jar, buy something small. Sometimes the grocery stores will give you samples and play with it and see what you think. Now to make the crust, there is no flour but almond flour and some arrowroot. Again, you're thinking almond flour. Almond flour is very versatile. Don't shy away from almond flour. Now, arrowroot is a new type of flour that I've put in here, and you must be thinking, what is arrowroot? What does that do? Arrowroot, what it does is it gives it that crusty taste, that crusty consistency that you're looking for. Now, I remember with arrowroot, the only thing that I ever saw with arrowroot was biscuits for children when they were teething. And arrowroot does a lot of great things. I've used it to make chicken tenders for the family. Instead of putting it in flour, use arrowroot and it gives it that same crunch that you'd like in a chicken tender. What I have here is some honey and vanilla extract. And we're going to put this in. And again, don't shy away from new recipes or new ingredients, because that's the wonderful thing about getting healthy. You got to put variety in your life. So what you're getting, look at this. I'm going to show you this up close. Just by putting in the arrowroot, just by putting in the honey, what you're getting is a nice doughy mixture, like a nice flaky mixture of what you want for your crust. And we're going to take this out. That to the side. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my pan and spread it around. Spread the love, as I call it. So why not stay healthy, keep healthy throughout the holidays, still enjoy what everyone else is enjoying, but on your terms. So you're going to pat this down. Look at that. Now that's a crust. All right? It's beautiful. It has that nice smell of honey and vanilla, and the arrowroot will give it the crunch that we're looking for. So now I'm going to start with my wet ingredients, and you're going to see how easy it is. Welcome back. So my crust is ready to go. It just needs a topping. And in this case, we're going to use a pumpkin topping, a pumpkin bar. I put in a can of pumpkin, and again, when you're looking for your puree pumpkin, make sure that it isn't for pie filling, because then it's going to be sweet. It's a different process that they go through. This is just pure pumpkin, which I love. To that, I'm going to add some honey as a sweetener and some coconut milk. Now wait a minute, you must be saying coconut milk. Come on, give me a break. Well, just imagine all the other bars out there, what they use is sweetened condensed milk. So they use milk, they put lots of sugar in it. I'm going the natural way. I'm going to use coconut milk. Now you may say you're going to taste the coconut. You don't. Trust me, you won't. We got that. And we'll mix that a little bit. I'm just going to use my spatula for now. The mixture is already looking like what you would put on a bar. To that, we're going to add an egg. I'm going to use my fork now. Pinch of salt. And again, salt, what it does is that it just brings out all the flavors. And so I'm going to start using my fork. Looks really nice, nice and creamy. We're going to add some cinnamon. I love cinnamon. I think I've already said that so many times that I do. So we are ready. And we're just going to spread the love around here. Beautiful. What I like about the desserts that I make is, yes, I do have a sweet tooth, and I'm trying every day my best not to be such a sugar addict like I used to be. So what I like about the desserts that I make is that, yes, they're sweet, but they're made naturally with natural sweeteners. And what I've noticed with me is that as I eat them, I don't need a big slice anymore. And that's really what I love, is that I'll make these desserts, they're sweet enough, I get what I need, I get the nutrients that I need, the vitamins that my body needs, and then all of a sudden, I'm not having seconds or thirds. It's like, okay, I'm done. Before I started this path, I can eat donuts and cookies and crackers because I wanted the sweetness, or pieces of pie one after the other, and I still wasn't satisfied. Why? Because that wasn't real food to me. So there you have it. I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes so it can set, and then we'll go ahead and chill it, and then we'll cut it, and you betcha, we're going to eat it. So my apple crisp is ready. I've just plated it, and look how beautiful it is. You see the raisins, the wonderful crumb, the pecans are in there, and look at the green apples. Oh, can't wait to try it. You know, if I felt like doing something naughty, I would put a pile of ice cream, but I'm not because I know better than that. But it is great. It's nice and warm. And the almond flour with the honey and the coconut oil in there really gives it a nice added touch. There's a lot of depth in here. And just like I was talking to you about the green apples, they do hold on their own. I mean, they don't get smushy like other apples do. It's a nice crunch. So when it comes to celebrating apples for the fall, let your mind create things that are really great. So when you're celebrating fall and you want to celebrate apples, look for healthy desserts, something sweet that brings out the apple but leaves all the sugar and processed stuff behind. So as you're celebrating the fall and all the wonderful fruits and vegetables that it has to offer, and if you decide to celebrate apples, it doesn't have to be a buttery, sugary, loaded processed apple pie. It definitely doesn't have to be something that is so decadent that you know you're going to regret it in the morning. So my pumpkin bar is ready. I took it out of the oven, let it stand for a while outside in the room temperature, and then I went ahead and put it in the fridge for about an hour. So it is beautiful. It's firmed up, and now we're ready to eat. Very decadent. Sorry about that. Look at that nice crust. You see how the arrowroot just gives it that firmness? And now it's ready to try. This is good. So here's my advice. Being healthy doesn't have to mean you have to cheat and hide the food that you want to eat. And it doesn't really mean that you can't have all those wonderful fall flavors in your home and, of course, in your mouth. It's taking that simple step in the right direction and choosing and finding what ingredients that you can add that are healthy, natural, and will work for your body as you continue to become healthy. Join me for another episode as we explore the wonderful ways of becoming healthy, one simple step at a time.